Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hope. My name is Tammy Lynn Connors, and this is my podcast and YouTube channel, helping other people evolve. Today, I have my beautiful friend, Patryce Sheppard. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. We've been trying to do this for a little while, Patryce and I. Our first time doing it, we had some internet issues. And so I always say God has a plan. And so the plan was to do it today. I always also express how I meet people, because to me, God just really puts people in my life. Patryce and I happen to be on a live video at the same time with our friend Danelle Delgado. And we kind of messaged back and forth because I said something about hope. And she has an amazing story of hope. And so what my mission and vision is with Hope is just to help people who are at home struggling. Everybody goes through struggles in life. And unfortunately, Patryce went through a really large struggle in her life, but fortunately, she got through it and she has a strength and a story of hope. And so I just hope that someone will hear this story. Maybe they're laying in bed that day. Maybe they're sitting on their couch and they just don't feel like they can get through it. But when you hear Patryce's story, then you'll get out of bed that day and walk outside and just know that you can be and get through the struggles that we go through. So Patryce, I know your story. I have your book. I have everything packed in boxes. So I'm still unpacking because I wanted to have it right here, but I'm like, which box is it in? But if you could just want to go ahead and just share a little bit, or a lot of your struggles that you went through and the story of hope that you have, because it's an amazing, amazing story.
Thank you so much. And so first of all, Tammy, I want to tell you that, and you know this, that I truly love you. We have developed a friendship. We don't get to talk that often because we're both very busy, but when we do get to talk or chat, it's always a pleasure. So you're right, we did meet we were on Danelle Delgado. We were on her live, one of her lives. And you said something about, I think Danelle asked the question, it was something about like, what are we gonna do in the next 6 months or something? And you were like, well, I'm taking my Hope tour. I'm ramping up my Hope tour. And I was like, Hope tour? Wait a minute. And I said to you, that sounds interesting. What's that? Let's talk about it. And so here's why I appreciate it so much. Because first I'll say that I am a breast cancer survivor. And in the breast cancer world, we have kind of adopted the word hope, if you will, right? So usually when I see hope and things of that nature, it usually is followed by a pink ribbon.
Right.
And so I saw Hope to it, and I, to be honest, I instantly thought, I said, oh, she's a breast cancer survivor. She's my pink sister. That's what I was thinking. But then after we talked, I was like, wait a minute. This is not about breast cancer at all. It's about inspiring people and hope for all, and regardless to what kind of situation you're going through, what's happening in your life. And I love that.
Thank you.
Tammy, I love the way you're living life fearlessly. I love it. You inspire us every day with your story of hope, your beautiful story that you have, and how you just share with the world, and just your smile lights up a room. I love to see you on Facebook dancing and getting your party on, girl. And you are the ultimate person that embodies hope. Okay. So I just want you to know that I am so proud of you for doing this show, the Hope, doing this podcast. And thank you so very much for inviting me to be a guest.
Well, thank you for all of that. And I wish I had tissues next to me right now, because I can't even see you because my eyes are so clouded up. Thank you so much for that.
Yes.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. So just a little bit about me. I am a breast cancer survivor, as I said, and I'm 48 now. I was diagnosed when I was 43, and I'm a single mom. And at the time, I started out in the insurance business. Well, just to go back a little bit, I'm originally from Chicago. That's where I was born and raised. And my son and I relocated to Texas, Dallas, Texas in 2012. Okay. So I came, it was kind of after things were going on with, the economic times, and I didn't have a job. So we relocated. I found a job just to kind of tide me over for the moment. But then I wanted a career change and, went into insurance, got my license after that. I was started State Farm, mostly selling property and casualty, P&C, auto and home. And then I was just selling a little bit of life insurance. Then I went on to be independent. And during that time, is when I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So first, let me say this. I was 43 when I was diagnosed, Tammy.
Okay.
And what happens many times with us women is, we go to the doctor and we're supposed to start having our mammograms at 40, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I hadn't had it. By the time I was 43 and found the cancer, I had not had a mammogram. So I'm going to be honest about that. But I was doing self-breast exams. But here's why I was doing them, because I was kind of premenopausal and my cycle would come and go, and it was kind of iffy. And so, every year when we go, our doctor always say, are you doing a self-breast exam? Are you getting your mammograms if you're 40 and older? And at the time, they would say, are you doing a self-breast exam? And I would say, no, I'm not. But you know what? When I turned 40, I decided that I wanted to do something different with my life.
Okay.
As far as I wanted to give myself a gift. And the gift that I gave to myself was that I was going to practice and work on developing myself personally. And the one thing that I definitely wanted to do was to say something, to make a commitment, and then follow up with that. Mm-hmm. So basically, do what I say, and when I say something, mean it, period.
Right.
So I went to the doctor, and and when they were telling me to, are you doing a self-breast exam? I was like, you know what? I'm going to start doing them. Mm-hmm. So I said I was going to perform self-breast exams. I was 40 then. I didn't go get the mammogram like I should have. But you know what I'm finding out, Tammy? Many women are not. Mm-hmm. And so that's why we'll talk about it a little bit later, but that's why I'm a champion and an advocate for early detection. Mm-hmm. But so doing the self-breast exam, so then fast forwarding 3 years later, I was performing the self-breast exam and I found the lump. So I did find it myself. Okay. Went on to go and find out that it was in fact cancer. It was in the early stages, in stage 2. So we knew right away that it wasn't a death sentence, but it was still going to be the fight of my life. Right. So I ended up, I started chemotherapy. I did chemo first. Ended up having a double mastectomy. That was kind of my choice. I could, have a bilateral, do one, but right. I was young. And so I said, let's just go ahead and get it done. So I did have a double mastectomy, and then I had some radiation, and then of course some therapy after that. Mm-hmm. So I was off work for about 22 months. Wow. Just, being a single mom, it was just a lot going on. Yeah. And my entire family still lived in Chicago. Mm. Yeah. And so I like to call myself, some people that know me will agree, and then others will not, depending on what part of my life you know me in. I would call myself a rule follower. Okay. And so I like to, they say this is what you do. And then, so this is what I do it. This is how I do it. Well, they said that you should have 6 months of savings. So okay. I had 6 months of savings, but guess what? When you're off for 22 months, 6 months goes up really fast. Right. What ended up happening though is I had a life insurance policy that had a rider on it, accelerated death benefit rider. And I was able to get a $50,000 check from my life insurance policy. Okay. Okay. Yeah. And a lot of people don't know that as well, that on these policies, a lot of times there are riders that you can have attached to them. And then there are other riders, there are other policies, cancer policies, heart attack, stroke, that you can have so that if something happens to you, you'll have something in place. Mm. So going back a little bit, when I was going through, obviously it was very hard, Right. I'm sure that anyone can imagine whether you've been through it or not, taking chemo, it's a poison and it's designed to kill all the cells, the good ones and the bad ones, so that it can wipe out the chemo, your hair falling out and just everything that comes with that. It was a lot. But you know what? I chose to do my journey differently. I did. Yeah. I can remember the first time I walked into chemo, and I talk about it in my book. I talk about it in there where I walked in the first time, and it was if it was like gloom and doom, you know?
Mhm.
And I was like, you could smell a sick smell, and just the feeling was cold. And I talk about in the book, like not the feeling of cold from the atmosphere, because the atmosphere definitely was, but the feeling of, but a coldness from the other people, you know? And I remember a lady asking me, you know, the first day that I was there, you know, don't you know you have cancer? You know, because I was smiling and
Right.
happy. Yeah, you know, and so I just decided that I was going to do mine different.
Yes.
Tammy, I knew that what we project out is what we get back in. And so that if I was going to go through this journey as a single mom, family back in Chicago, you know, I had my church family, had friends here in Texas, I knew that I was going to have to think a little different. I was going to have to think outside the box. So I decided that I was going to do it, and I was going to be happy.
I love that. Can I stop you right there real quick just for a second?
Absolutely.
Because I just heard something yesterday, and it was Joel Osteen, and it's a motivation that I listen to different motivations every morning. So it's got different people in there. But Joel Osteen talked about his mom, and I'm pretty sure she was diagnosed with cancer also, but he said she never let that stop her from being happy and joyful. And if you asked her in a day, how are you today? How's your cancer today? She would always be like, I'm great. I'm doing fantastic. I feel great. And speaking that out. And I think that's so important for people to hear that, like you said, and you put it in your book too. It's, you know, our mindset and what we project out is what comes back to us, you know? So I just wanted to just reiterate that a little bit, because I heard Joel just say that on a video I listened to. So yeah, that's awesome. So sorry to interrupt.
Oh, no, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, I mean, it really is though. You know, our mindset, I believe that it determines our life. And we can speak things into existence, we can will things into existence, but it starts with the way that we think.
Yes.
One of the things that I did, and I still kind of do it to this day, maybe not so much because I made some cards out of them, but I would take sticky notes.
Okay.
And I talk about it in the book as well. I would take these sticky notes and I would write positive words on them. Because, you know, when I woke up in the morning and I was bald, when I woke up and I didn't have any taste buds and I didn't want to eat, and, or, you know, I was so sick to my stomach that everything, if I drank a glass of water and I was throwing it back up, when I was feeling like that, Tammy, I wasn't feeling like myself and I wasn't feeling the best. But I had to brainwash myself. I had to trick my brain. I had to be positive. I had to do it for my son, for my family, for the people that were watching me, because I knew early on that I wanted to be an example.
So
I would write these positive words on sticky notes, and I would place them on the mirrors in my bathroom, in my room, on the mirror, on the back of my door, on my headboard, on the refrigerator, so that when I opened my eyes and I looked at these words, that was my way of getting them into my spirit. Yes. You know, and they were positivity, hope, love, generosity, forgiveness, you know, just words that the positive words that are speaking life and speaking existence, girl. I had to do it. Yes. That's awesome. And that's, you know, that's a big thing with me too. And I talk about this a lot. And I know Danelle is probably where I learned it the most from, is that gratitude in the morning, no matter what is happening. If you can, even if you wake up, like you said, I mean, you wake up and you're no taste bud, your stomach's upset, and you no hair. You're absolutely beautiful. Your picture back there on your book. I mean, you're beautiful, whatever way you looked, but at the same time, we're looking at ourselves in the mirror, right? And we're the ones waking up, and we have to do that with ourselves. And I tell people, like, even in the morning when you wake up, if you feel you don't have anything great to be grateful for, man, just take a deep breath and be thankful that you got to do that. Or when you hear the birds chirping outside, that you got to hear that you got to open your eyes, just those little things of gratitude, and that'll get you bigger things of gratitude, you know. But we have to do it ourselves. Nobody can do it for us. Nobody can do it. I think that's the biggest thing. Like you said, you know, we have to be the ones that look at that and say, oh yes,
I'm beautiful, or yes, God is great, or whatever it is that you're looking at. I'm courageous, and we have to be the ones to do that. And I think that that's very important in what you said, you learned to do that, so yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And so, and even like you, Tammy, we also have to learn to enjoy the little things in life, the everyday things. I see you, I just absolutely love your post. I love it when you're posting somewhere and you'll be like, look at this lip gloss, the most amazing lip gloss ever. I'm so grateful for this lip gloss. But just that gratitude.
Yes.
I think that, everything grows. It's like a seed. So first you plant it and it's this little bitty seed, but then you have to water it. You have to give it sunshine. You have to prune it sometimes, but then it grows and it blossoms, right?
Yes.
Into something beautiful. And I believe that the gratitude is the same way. So we find little things to be gracious or grateful about. A pen, a lip gloss, whatever the case. Like you say, the birds chirping, the sun shining.
Yes.
Find small things to be grateful about. And what happens? That grows.
Yes.
So as you are projecting the positivity and projecting it out, I think it just grows. Yes. I think you have more things to be grateful for. And your gratitude list gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Yes. And so, yeah. And so that's the way I live my life. I try to live my life. I'm growing and learning every day. And we're all here to just continue to evolve. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Yes. Yeah. So now you're in your chemo, your radiation, you've lost your hair, and you're doing your gratitudes. And then you still have to, you have your son, so you still have to be present, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So still having to be present, but it was kind of hard to do that. So of course, family and friends, gathered around, and that was humbling for me because, just being a single mom for so long, used to just being independent, right? And doing things on your own and not really having to ask. And then when you're put in that position where you have to ask, people had to come by and take my son back and forth to school and to practices and bring us dinner over and cook. And, I had a different girlfriend every time. And this was very heartwarming for me because there were so many people who wanted to be by my side and to help me and to make sure that I was okay. And so I went through 8 or 9 chemo sessions. And every single time I had a different girlfriend go with me to come and pick me up, to take me to get something to eat or whatever it is that I need to just take care of me for that day. So that was good because not only did I have people caring for me, they were also caring for my son as I had to still be there and care for him as well. So there are a couple of things that helped out in that. For one, I had to allow myself to have the help in.
Yes.
And I say allow because sometimes we say we want help and we want things, but do we humble ourselves enough to be able to accept it?
Yes.
Right.
I got to add to that just real quick because just yesterday, so like I said, I'm moving, right? And I moved all my stuff into my new place, and my son and his friend helped me last weekend, and we had some big stuff. So yesterday I had to move a bunch of tubs down in the basement, which my back's been hurting me and I probably shouldn't be doing it. So I was talking to a friend and I was like, yeah, I had to move all these boxes downstairs. And he was like, because you don't ask for help. And I was like, well, and he's like, no, you don't ask for help. And what you just said is the truth, because same thing, right? Single, independent, raise my son on my own. That's hard to ask for help. And so you saying that and him just saying it yesterday, I'm like, ask for help, Tammy. Yeah.
Because we have so many people around us that love us and want to help us.
Yes. Yeah.
But they don't know.
Right.
The person that you were talking to, he probably would have gladly come over.
Yes.
Spend some time with you, helped you move your boxes and do whatever else you needed him to do, right? Yep. As your friend. But it's like, we don't, hey, we're superwoman. We're going to do it ourselves. We have to stop that.
Yes.
That's not cool.
Not at all.
We have so many people around us that want to help us. And so I had to allow that. Well, I will say this. one of the things that I say, that I said, and it was like a little tagline or a slogan for mine, especially when I was going through, is cancer is my character journey.
Mm.
And so what I meant by that is that it was teaching me so much.
Mm.
And I am such a different person, and my character has evolved because of that diagnosis.
Yes.
And so that is a perfect example of it. Just me humbling myself, being able to ask for help, being able to accept help, and understanding that I don't have to do it on my own. Like, we need community around us. We need family, we need friends, we need that community, we need our tribe.
Yeah.
And that was one of the big lessons, that I learned. But just going back to the story, just really being present for my son was very hard, but I had the other people around me helping. One of the things that helped out a lot, again, because after the 6 months of savings that I had, I got a check from my insurance company. It was $50,000, but that's still not a lot when you're off and the bills are coming in. And I'm going to tell you something. You can say, hey, that's a lot, but when you don't have anything coming in and you're just spending on trying to keep your lifestyle the same, for my son, it ran out pretty fast, you know? So at the end, I did have to file a bankruptcy. I did.
Okay.
And ended up having to go back home with my parents to Chicago. We ended up staying with one of my girlfriends for a little while in Texas. I went back home for a little while, came back, and and so this was all in a period from July of 2017 to maybe January of 2020. So that was the 3-year period that we're talking about.
Okay.
And so, just having to humble myself in a way of then asking people to help me out financially. There were people who really did some big things and stepped in and showed up. I had to be just humble myself. I had to go get food stamps. Some community organizations helped out. And so it really was definitely a character journey. It was one of the most hardest things, actually, to date, is the most hardest thing that I've ever had to deal with in my life. But Tammy, I wasn't gonna let it break me. I said, oh no, I know I'm stronger than this. There's something, and every time it seemed like things would get worse and worse and worse and worse. This would happen. Then it's like, okay. And then something else would happen. And then something else. And it just kept piling on. And I was thinking, how is it possible that I got diagnosed with breast cancer, which is enough in itself, which it should be enough.
Yes.
And then all this other stuff is piling on top of it. But guess what? I never gave up.
Yeah.
I kept reading those sticky notes. I kept reading them because I knew that there was something deep inside of me that I was supposed to learn from this, that I was supposed to grow from it. And that I knew that I was an example, like that people were watching me. So I had to do something good. I had to make something good out of it. I did.
Yes, and you sure have.
Yeah. So wow, it's really been a lot. Like these last 2 years have been amazing. So again, I when I was going through, I was in the middle of chemo treatment, but I like to serve. I like to give. I like to volunteer. That's who I am. I wasn't working, but I went to the National Breast Cancer Foundation in Frisco, actually just to go there to see about any kind of support groups that they had and maybe any volunteer opportunities, just something to do, because a lot of times I wasn't feeling good, but if I did have a day that I was feeling good, to do something. Well, I went there with them. They are awesome. Their slogan is that they are helping women now, and they are absolutely doing that. And ended up doing some volunteer work for them. That's when I started doing my advocacy, because I started learning about, breast cancer and how many women it's affecting. 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime, Tammy.
Wow.
So that's all the women that you know. If you get everybody together, you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 you. Like that is the real of it. 1 in 8 women. And then here's something else that's important to know. Do you know that every 2 minutes, a woman is diagnosed with breast cancer in the United States?
No, I did not know that.
I know.
Wow.
And so it's so many women. And I started learning. And then I started asking women, are you doing self-breast exams? And talking to them about mammograms. And I found out that many women aren't. And lots of times what broke my heart is that breast cancer is a curable. Well, no, it's not that it's curable, it's treatable.
Right.
Let me say that.
Okay.
Meaning that when it's found in early stages, you have several treatment options. My treatment regimen again was the chemo, the surgery, then the radiation. Some women don't have to have chemo. Some women don't have to have radiation. It just kind of depends on where you are and, the plan that you put in place for your doctor. But what happens, Tammy, is that women are finding it in the later stages. The reason why is because they're not going to get mammograms and they're not doing self-breast exams. And by the time they're feeling their breast and they're saying, oh my goodness, this hurts, or what is this? It's usually in the later stages. And that's when it's emergency, when it's quick, and how women are passing away from it. And I was like, you know what? I think that this is something that I want to talk about. This is something that I want to bring awareness to. So with the National Breast Cancer Foundation, I learned some things. I volunteered. I became a community ambassador with the National Breast Cancer Foundation, which was an awesome, awesome experience. Met some really great people. And what I did is I wasn't on Facebook. I didn't like social media. Okay. But I said, I'm going to get on social media on Facebook so I can share my story. Okay. I wanted to share my story with the world. And so I got on there. I did that. 1 second. I got on there. I shared my story. Sorry.
It's okay.
Shared my story, and people were starting to, be attached to my story. And women were starting to say, you know what, thank you for sharing this. And I shared pictures of me while my head was bald, and I wasn't ashamed. I wasn't ashamed of anything. And I said, you know what, I think that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Yes. Right? Yes. And that's where I think that for me, that's where I started to find my freedom. I started to really find my freedom. And in 2019, National Breast Cancer Survivor honored me as Advocate of the Year. And I was on a roll from there. Yes. That's awesome. Yeah. So now, were you writing your book during this time, or did you start that afterwards? Okay, so I started writing my book in 2020. So what I did is, so the first thing that I had to do was I had to get myself in order so that I could get back to work. Because, now treatment is over, that kind of thing. So what I did is I was living with my parents. Then I borrowed $5,000 from them. And I was going to go back into, Tammy, hold on for a second. That's fine. No, you're fine. I hear somebody knocking. You're fine. This is what happens when we do lives. Real life. I hope you all are enjoying Patryce's story, because I am. I don't know how many times I've gotten chills, over my entire body as she's sharing her story of hope with all of us. So she's back. Okay. I am so sorry. It's okay. I was having a UPS pickup, and he came early. He wasn't supposed to come, and so he's knocking on the door. I'm like, but he didn't. That's okay. So anyway, that just shows we're just doing real life here. Hey, this is real life stuff. That's right. That's right. Yeah. So I forgot what I was saying.
We were talking about you starting your book,
Oh,
that you
good.
borrowed
Gotcha.
$5,000.
Yep. So $5,000 from my parents. So remember when I got the check in my hand, the check from the from my life insurance policy. So I used it during that pivotal time. But what I said is that when I go back to selling insurance, because that's what I was doing, I said,
Right.
I'm selling life insurance because everybody has to know about this.
Right.
Like everybody has to know that that they're living benefits on these policies.
Mm-hmm.
I was mostly selling auto and home then, but I was like, no, it's strictly going to be life.
Okay.
So during this time, it is January of 2020. We're starting the pandemic. They're talking about it, right? And then I'm hearing all about this pandemic and what's going on. And now they're shutting things down. But guess what? I need to work. It's time for me to get back to work.
Mm-hmm.
So I borrowed $5,000 from them, and I found a digital platform where
Oh,
you can
okay.
talk over the phone, sell life insurance. They taught me everything I know. So this is now July of 2020. So I'm working hard at doing that and started building my way up fast. Well, in the meantime, women are reaching out to me. I'm reaching out to women. I had some small speaking engagements and things of that nature, and just still advocating and talking to women about early detection and sharing my story and helping other women who are going through. And somebody asked me when I was at an engagement speaking, they were like, "Where's your book?" Like, and they said it emphatically, like they just knew I had a book. And I was like, I'm writing it. She's like, let me know, where I really wasn't. Well, as things may have it, I did find G.O.P.E. He did, I got in his book writing seminar, and and I wrote that book. And then that was just another time through this journey that I was like, I'm feeling my freedom. Like I'm feeling hope. Like I can do this, and I'm doing this to be a blessing to others.
Yes.
So there were all these pivotal times, like throughout my journey, when I just kept feeling the tug and feeling a tug for me to do something, but not for myself, but for others.
Mm-hmm. And
so I wrote the book. I launched it at an insurance seminar. So now I'm selling it, life insurance again, and my business is picking up. It's doing pretty good. Mm-hmm. I'm building a team. I have some team members, on with me that now I'm able to train and teach and pour into, which is a blessing. It's just awesome. Mm-hmm. And then also my book is selling, mm-hmm. and things are picking up there. And when I really just stop and think about it, because a lot of times people will ask, well, Patryce, like, how did you do all of this? Because there's some people that I met when I was going through the bankruptcy, or when mm-hmm. when I was in the middle of my breast cancer journey. Mm-hmm. And you know what? It's people like you who remind me of how I'm doing it and why I'm doing it. It's to spread hope. Mm-hmm. and spread love and spread joy to other people. Yes. You know what? I wanted to always make sure that I was going to be an example. I knew that I was going to be an example, but I didn't know how. I want to be an example to women. I want them to see that no matter what happens to you in life, you can pick yourself back up. Yes. And you can do it. Yes. Yes. Hard things are going to come. Yes. Yes. But when hard things come, when obstacles come your way, don't stop. Yeah, it may knock you down, but pick yourself right back up. Yes. Be determined. Yes. Make up in your mind that nothing is going to stop you. Yes. Yes. And so that's why I love what you're doing, because this thing, like I said, it wasn't about breast cancer. It was about helping other people evolve in all situations. Yes. Of their life. Yes. Yeah. And so, So I'm, like I said, I'm just grateful because, and then again, when I met you and when we had our conversation and we talked, I was like, wow, this is what I'm doing. I'm helping other people evolve. Yes. So now as a breast cancer survivor, when I say hope, Tammy, it has a whole different meaning for me.
Oh, it's
I
so
wish I could,
awesome.
I wish I could steal your acronym, girl. I'm just kidding with you.
Yeah, so your book, you also with your book, you have a workbook with it.
I do. So
Yes.
what I did is, I have the book, and honestly, Tammy, the book is not even about breast cancer, really.
Right.
What the book is really about is this about having the mindset that we need to have, the positive mindset that we need to have in life. So it's about looking at situations. Sometimes we look at situations and we look at them and they're so close up. And all we can see is obstacles, what's going wrong. We can just see all the negative.
Yes.
But what I like to do when I look at situations is take a situation and then say, what do I want the end result to be? So instead of looking at it from here, look at it from here.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when you look at it from there, you say, okay, in my case, when I found the lump, knew that it was breast cancer, I was like, oh, I was immediately scared because I was looking at it from here. And I was like, am I going to die? What's going to happen with my son? We're going to have to move back to Chicago. Who's going to, it was just all this negative stuff, all this negative. And I had to say, stop. Look at it from here. Change your mindset. Now, what is it that you want to come out of this? I was like, okay, well, what do I want to come out of this? I want to be an advocate for others. I want to be a speaker. I didn't say author. I didn't know that I was going to write a book then, but I knew I wanted to be an advocate. I knew I wanted to be a speaker. I knew that I wanted to help people. So when I looked at it from there, then what I did is all the steps that I took were going back, and now I'm here, were steps to get me there. So that's why when I was going through chemo, that's why I went to the National Breast Cancer Foundation. Because I was looking for a support group, but I was also looking for an opportunity to serve and an opportunity to learn. Because I knew that what I wanted to do was be an advocate and be a speaker. So I needed to put myself in situations where people were doing that. I needed to surround myself with those people and those mentors. So the book is really about looking at situations and thinking about the positive, what it is that you want to do, and then walking yourself backwards, into it, and affirmations, changing your mind, being positive, making sure that you have positive people around you. So what I did is I used my breast cancer journey as an example of what happens when you think that way.
So good. So good. That's awesome. That's amazing. You just, just your smile and everything about you just is a bright light, just so you know, I just, we talked on the phone and I never really saw you in person besides the picture on the book. And then I remember when we were trying to do the first podcast and you came on there and I was like, you are absolutely beautiful. I knew you're beautiful, but just the glow that you have and the smile, and it just is that light that lights up, the world, and whoever you're around, you bring that to them. So I just wanted to tell you that it's just such a great thing to see. So I love it. Love it.
So now I'm just kind of dedicating my life to helping others. I do sell life insurance. And so I am advocating in that way, advocating for families to make sure that they have the proper finances and policies in place so that when their time comes and they pass away, that they're not leaving a burden for their family.
Yes.
Many people don't know that life insurance is not as expensive as you think it is. And so, I advocate in that way for families. And then also I have some other some products that I sell, cancer policies. People don't know that for $10 or $20 a month, you can get yourself a cancer policy. And God forbid, if something like that were to happen to you, then you could get a lump sum, amount. And here's the thing, we really cannot predict what's going to happen to us.
Right.
As much as we would like to, we don't know it. And so one important aspect that I'm learning And again, cancer is my character journey that I learned when I was diagnosed and as I was going through, is that really the differences in people is about how prepared you are for situations of adversity when they come.
Mhm. Yes.
It-
Yes.
It's like, are you prepared for it and are you not? You know, because I did end up having to file bankruptcy, had
Right.
some medical bills and things of that nature. But look at this. I had 6 months of savings, so I had that. And then I had the policy, so I was able to do that. So it did string it along a little bit longer, you
Mhm.
know, and allowed me to do some things that I probably would not have been able to do.
Mhm.
Had I been more prepared, like having a cancer policy or some other things, maybe I wouldn't have had to file the bankruptcy. But
Right.
honestly, I'm going to be honest with you and tell you that I don't regret and I'm not embarrassed about not one part of my story,
So good.
because every single part of my story and every struggle that I had, when I share it, what it does is it helps somebody else.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
that's that example.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
helping other people evolve.
Yes. Yes. And you know, I always talk about, I say this a lot. Trent Shelton, one time I was listening to something that he did, and he said, your transparency will lead to someone else's transformation. And that just
Ooh.
really stuck with me. I actually had it hanging on my mirror for a long time because it's
I'm gonna
so
write
true.
that down.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. You know, when we are transparent with people, they see that they're not alone. You know, so many people out there, and that's why I do this. Just, you feel like you're alone struggling, you know, and nobody else is going through things. And so many people are going through so many things. And unfortunately, right, we all go through struggles, but fortunately, people like you, people like Dr. Carl Stokes, you know, the people that are out there sharing their stories out loud are helping the other people know that they're not alone. And that's just so important. David Goggins is someone else I listen to, and he's like, your story should be on a billboard so people can see it and know that they're not alone and they can get
Yes.
through it, you know. And that's why I started Hope, just for that reason, you know, so that we could have your story and Dr. Carl Stokes' story and all the people, you know, just to hear it, you know, and know that you're not alone. So yeah. So yeah, that's so cool. So I know you said you had something exciting that you were going to share on here too. Was there something else you were going to share?
Well, so I didn't know when we were going to do this, so I can't actually share it. I can't.
Okay.
I can't actually share it, but I will say this. I'll say that if you have been following me on Facebook, you'll see that there was a big contest.
Yep.
There was a big contest for insurance agents, the ultimate agent.
Yes.
And so thousands of insurance agents, they applied, you know, to be selected, and I was one of the 5. And so it's actually a reality show. It's going to be, it's going to be the first insurance reality show, and it's going to air in July.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I'm on that, and that's really going to be really fun. And so at the 8% Nation conference that's in Dallas, it's in Dallas the end of the month. That's where they're going to announce the winner. There, so that's exciting. Yeah,
cool. That's so exciting.
So it's just so many exciting things going on. And I'm going to be honest, Tammy, you know, as I look for opportunities to share and look for opportunities to give, it's amazing. What happens is you get more opportunities to give.
Yes.
And then what happens is your reach, you know, gets bigger and bigger. So there was a podcast that I did with Roger Short and the Life Insurance Academy. And so, you know, we did the podcast, we put it on. It was an awesome podcast. I had an awesome time with them. And just yesterday, a woman reached out for me from Trinidad. I was like, wow. Yeah. You know, and maybe that happens to people, and they're like, Patryce, that's not really a big deal. But for me, that was a big deal, right?
Yes.
2 people have reached out to me from the Philippines. One lady was like, you know what? I was diagnosed with breast cancer. You know, I've been following you, looking at what you're doing. You know, I've shipped 2 of my survivor kits with my book and stuff over, you know, to the Philippines, another woman in Kenya. And so as I'm just doing this work, doing it freely, right? Doing it from my heart, just so that I can help other people evolve.
Yeah. Yes.
As I'm doing that and spreading hope, it's amazing that it's reaching places that I would have never thought that would have reached. And what's even more inspiring to me is a lot of it is from Facebook, the same place that I didn't want to go and that I didn't like.
Yeah.
And that's the very place that's helping me to reach more people.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm very grateful. I'm grateful for all the opportunities. I'm grateful for the people that I have a chance to meet. And just this is just an awesome time in my life. I'm excited because I feel like I'm actually walking in my purpose.
So good.
I feel like I'm doing what it is that I was created to do. And so doing that, when I wake up in the morning, it doesn't feel like work.
Yes.
That's what allows me to be able to work for 16 hours.
Yes.
And still reading, still selling insurance, still advocating, still speaking, writing books. Yes. That's what allows me to do it, because it doesn't feel like work.
Yes. Because you're living out your purpose. That's what's so amazing. And I wanted to touch with when you said about the lady from Trinidad and, you know, Africa and the Philippines, those, when I get a message from somebody that says, oh my goodness, your story helped me to go get sober, or your story helped my son, you know, go into a rehab, or whatever it is that somebody's doing, that's my whole gratitude, you know. Even like this with Hope, you know, when I talk to people about my podcast, they're like, so my face lights up, my son, my face lights up, talking about God, my face lights up, talking about my podcast, my face just goes, woo, because I love what I'm doing, because it's giving you the opportunity to share. And who knows, someone will hear this and be like, oh, I need to get a hold of Patryce. Maybe she can, you know, her struggle can get me to a strength, you know. And it's just getting those messages from people are the best thing ever, the best. But what you said, living out your purpose, you know, we all are here on earth and we all have a gift and we all have a purpose. It's finding what that is. And once you start living out your purpose, nothing else really matters, because you know, when you wake up in the morning, whatever it is you're doing in that day, you know, like I said, I went back to work at the casino here in Toledo, and the casinos kind of can be a depressing place. There's a lot of addiction there, you know, but I make sure that every day before I walk in that door, I say, okay, whose life am I going to change today? No matter if they're going through that struggle of addiction, I might be able to bring them a smile to their face or bring some kind of light to their world. And that's just what I do too, what you're doing. You know, we're living out our purpose and just helping people. And it's awesome. I love it. Yeah. So is there anything else you want to add before we wrap this up?
Well, you know what? Again, I just want to thank you for having me on. And the real message that I want to share is that we can do anything, that there is nothing that we can't do. And no matter how life knocks us down and kicks us around, it's not about how you fall. It's about what you do when you get up.
That's right.
There are people around you. There are people that you can reach out to, you know, put people in your circle so that you can win. Because no matter what, all of us has something inside of us that we should be doing that can help us win.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so good. It's so good. And I'm just so blessed that, you know, I met you on just a live video. And I always say, you know, to people, I'm like, God has a way of just putting people in my life. And, you know, I want to say this real quick. Patryce was the one that I have a podcast with Dr. Carl Stokes, and Patryce was the one that kind of hooked us up together. So, you know, it's just that. And it's keeping, like you said, keeping that positive circle, keeping those people in your life. you know, the negative thoughts are going to come, but you need to just let them go. The other day, my son, I had an example. The other day, my son was golfing. We were in Tennessee and he went golfing by himself. And the first day, I think he said he lost 13 balls, but he was golfing on the side of a mountain, right? Well, the next day he bought 2 sleeves of golf balls and he had 2 left. So I think he lost all of them. He actually found one on the last hole that he was able to golf. But, you know, he was like upset about it. But I told him, I said, Chad, just do this. Act like it's a log going down the river and it went off the waterfall, right? So we were laughing about it. And he's like, that golf game went off the Niagara Falls. He's like, Mom, because I had to let it go that much. But that's the thing. We have to learn how to let those negative thoughts go because they're going to come into your life. And I always say this too, like, I don't watch the news. I'm aware of what's going on in the world. I'm aware enough, but I don't watch the news because for me, it's a lot of negativity. And if you can keep negativity out of your life and try to keep it the positivity, you're going to see how your life can change. And, you know, I know that you didn't wake up one day, Patryce, and be like, oh, everything's great, right? We have to work on it. You know, people in this world, we live in a microwave society. Everybody wants everything now, right? I want my abs right now. Well, it's not going to happen like that. We have to do the work to get to where we're at. So if you feed your brain with good things, you hang around with good people, you follow good people on social media, you know, you're going to eventually, it's going to start happening for you, but you just have to be willing to do it, you know, and that's the biggest thing, you know, and I admire you. I think you're an amazing woman. I love what you're doing. I can't wait to meet you in person because I'm going to be coming down to Texas again soon. I don't know when, but soon I'm going to come down there because I have some friends I want to visit down there and we're definitely going to have to make a plan to get together. So I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody for jumping on Hope today. I know that after July, we're going to have to definitely talk again. We're going to have to do a podcast about your whole reality show because I'm so excited about
of course.
So anyways, I want to thank everybody for jumping on Hope. I hope everybody has an amazing day. And listen, if you're struggling, no, you're not alone. There's so many people out here that are willing to help you and just to give you some, you know, tools to use. And we are just grateful to be here and sharing our purpose. Patryce, I hope you have an amazing day.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.